Hey there, and happy 5th of July. I hope every one of you guys had a great time on the 4th of July. Hopefully you have all your fingers still attached to your hands, because I know somebody does it every single year. Hope that wasn't you. So today we've got something a little bit different. I'm going to throw you guys a little bit of a curveball. Normally at this point, myself or the other hosts that host the show will introduce a leader. We talk through with a leader on what's going on in the market. But today we're going to throw you a little bit of a curveball, because I'm going to try to bring you guys 10 minutes of information real quick, just like from my stuff and some of the things that I've been talking about with real estate agents. We're going to talk a little bit about home sale stuff and what's going on with the real estate market, so you have a better understanding, and a couple of tasks for you to do to be able to take your business to the next level. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about attraction and how to have that attraction in the right space in your business so that it actually becomes an enhancement to your business, not another drag to your business, if you know what I mean. So after we get done with that, I'm going to be doing about 10 minutes or so plus or minus on that. And then I'm going to kick it off over to Brian Ellington, who's going to be introducing and interviewing Allie Garcet. She's a phenomenal real estate agent. She's talking about YouTube stuff and doing socials right and building your business and driving your business and getting that buyer business to come to you. Also, they're going to have a conversation about that, and that'll be our show for today. So with that being said, let's just kick off with me. Hi, Russ Lagan, Vice President of Growth for EXP. And today I want to talk to you about home sales. One of the things that's super, super important about home sales, and if you guys have been around me for 5 minutes, you'll hear me say this over and over and over. You got to know what the market is doing, okay? Got to know what the market is doing. If there's nothing else I can teach you and tell you about this real estate business, it would be to learn what your market's doing, learn how the market works, learn what your metrics are, and know what your key metrics are in your market. So like part of you being a good real estate agent is knowing your business, right? And when I say to people, like, how many of you guys see yourself as a real estate expert? And everybody in the room, of course, puts their hand up. And I said, okay, how many of you know how many homes sold in the last month in your market? How many of you know what the current supply of homes is in your market? And guys, listen, if you don't know the answers to those questions, don't worry about it. You're normal. But now that you know that that information is important, I want to make sure that you know this and you stay on top of this. It's like one of the #1 recipes you can do in your real estate business is to be doing a good real estate market update every month. 2 things that does for you. Number 1, that helps you know what the heck the numbers are, because you got to look them up, right? And then the second thing is, it gives you a method of communicating that you are a real estate expert without having to go out and be like, hey, look at me, I'm a realtor. Look at me, I just sold a house. Look at me, I just got a listing. Nobody really likes to look at that. Look at me, I'm a realtor marketing stuff. So when you're out on social, what I want you to start thinking is, how do I make myself look like an expert? So here's the deal, guys. When we get into the real estate business, we have to start building credibility. Okay, so there's 2 types of credibility that you've got to build. One is personal credibility, which most of you already have with your people, the people you know. You have personal credibility, right? The more times you interact with them and you have favorable interactions with them, the more personal credibility you build. Now, the problem is there's the second P, which is professional credibility. So what happens is a real estate agent gets into the business or is in the business for a while, and they've got a bunch of people they know, like, and trust, and they know, like, and trust you, but they don't necessarily know you, like you, trust you as a real estate agent. So what we have to do is we have to do things as a real estate agent on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, that helps us build credibility. So every time we have an interaction, every time we add value to a buyer or seller in my sphere of influence, and I have personal credibility with, every time I do those activities, it adds more professional credibility. Now, most people are like, well, Russ, but I do 7 real estate posts a week. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay. So what are they about? Are they about you, or is it something for them? So what I want you to start thinking is, I want you to start thinking of shifting the way you do business and shifting the way you do marketing and shifting the way you do social and do YouTube, and start thinking, how do I give more? So instead of talking about me and look how great I am as a real estate agent, I want you to start talking about what's going on in the market. I want you to start talking about what's going on in your hometown. I want you to start talking about and promoting other businesses, right? So I'm Russ, the real estate dude, going to a family-owned restaurant run by Joe and Susie. Amazing. They survived 2020. Started in 2020. It's amazing business. Actually, true story. I went to this little steak place in Phoenix, Arizona. If you guys are in Phoenix right now, you're seeing this. If you haven't been to Pepper Mill, go to Pepper Mill. It's like north of Chandler-ish area of Phoenix Market. I happened to have an open evening because the person I was supposed to meet was sick. So I'm like, I had dinner by myself and I asked, where should I go for a decent steak that's not a crazy price, but it's good food? And I was told to go to this place called Peppermill. I pulled up and I couldn't believe this place. It's in a strip mall, right? I'm like, you have a steak place in a strip mall like this. Turns out it's a mom and pop run place. They started in 2020, figured out a way to survive that business through 2020. I sat at the bar, ordered some food, had a nice drink, and I got to watch the two cooks cooking with fire. It was an amazing dance to watch. So I go outside, I'm like, hey, I'm Russ, the real estate dude. And I check out restaurants everywhere I go around the country. And I just happened to bump into this place. Not only is it a great story of a survivor of 2020, but it's also a great story of a husband and wife that are building the business of their dreams. And by the way, now here we are years later, they are booked 7 days a week. Every night they're open, they're booked solid. So you got to get a reservation in this place. I had a fantastic steak, great environment, fun to watch. And by the way, it was a good fair price. So if you're in this area, part of town, hit a Peppermill. Great place to go. I'm Russ, the real estate dude. I'll catch you on the next one. That was my video, right? Guys, I posted a picture of the video, and posted a picture of the food. That thing got way more hits than almost everything else I'd done recently. So the one thing I know about real estate is we got to do real estate market updates on a regular basis, because the only thing anybody ever asks me is some variation of how's the market. I was on stage last week in Detroit and I rolled this out with these guys. I'm like, when you guys meet somebody and they say, hey, Russ, what do you do for a living? And I say some version of, I'm a realtor. And then their next question is some variation of, how's the market? It's the only thing people ever ask me. They're not like, oh, what broker are you with? How many homes did you sell? What do you love about the business? They don't ever ask that stuff. They almost always do some version of how's the market. It's kind of like when you walk into a store and you see the greeter and the greeter's like, hey, welcome to blah, blah. Can I help you find something? And you're like, nah, just looking. So guys, this is like playing this game to human nature. So if this is how humans work and this is how humans think and this is how humans do things, you can start saying, okay, well, how do I work within that parameter? So start doing a good real estate market update. If you're stuck and you don't know how to do a good real estate market update, hit me up in Workplace Chat if you're seeing this, and I can send you a video on how to do a good market update. Okay. So with that said, build credibility. So one thing a lot of people don't know in this market that I want to make sure you guys know is how many total homes were sold in the last year. So the answer to that is 4.09 million homes sold last year. You're like, well, that's a lot of houses, Russ. Yeah, sure is. So is that a normal number? Is that not a normal number? So something else to teach you is don't just tell somebody a number. You want to tell somebody a number and then tell them what it means or give them some context. So I would never just say, by the way, just so you know, Russ, the real estate dude, just want to let you know we had 4.09 million home sales last year. And what does that mean? What that means is that home sales were actually down substantially last year, which you might have seen or heard. Also, what you might find interesting is 2022, we were right around 5.5 million sales, which is pretty close to a normal year. That's a pretty normal year in the US. Here's the rub. Going back into 2021, there were 7 million homes sold in 2021. A lot of people are like, hey, I got tired of waiting around 2020, 2021. People started jumping out and buying up houses left and right. So what happened is the inventory levels nationally went way down. So what you're seeing on a national level is lower levels of inventory across the board. And there are a couple of anomalies. California's got a couple pockets. Florida's got a couple pockets where inventory's gone up. But as a nation, as a whole, inventory is down. And when inventory is down and demand is up, what happens to prices? So for most of the country over the next year, prices are going to continue going up because we have low supply. Now you might say, well, Russ, but what if that number is going to go way up in the next year? And I'm going to say, no, actually, probably not. A lot of the projections coming out, including one from Bank of America, who somebody posted like, I don't trust anything they say. Sometimes they're right. I agree. They say they're probably going to be expecting around 4.1 million home sales in 2024. We're on track for that right now. Okay, so what that means is we're going to have year over year very similar. This is a classic real estate stall. We don't have enough inventory. A lot of people are staying put. Boomers are not moving out of their house like they used to, because if they move out and downsize, their payment goes up. So just staying in the house they were in, that's too big for them. And by the way, now they're having the grandkids over, and sometimes the grandkids are living with them more often. So those homes aren't going onto the market either. And we've got more households created last year than a bunch of years in the past. 2.1 million new households created last year, which means the builders now have to build 2.1 million houses new to be back to break even. And unfortunately, the builders built less than 1 million last year. And they're probably only going to build around 1 million this year. which means that shortage of homes is going to continue over the next couple of years. So with that information, does that change what you do? Does that change what a seller's thinking of doing? So if you're thinking about going, you might want to go now, because house prices are going to continue to go up in these inventory markets where there's low inventory. So you need to know what's going on in your market so you can communicate that information. So if you're in one of those inventory low markets like Indianapolis, like Cincinnati, you could say, hey, by the way, if you could do something, would you? And the people put their hands up. Now you got a potential buyer or seller. Okay, so there's good market information. The next thing I want to touch base on real quick for you guys is this. A lot of people look at the real estate business and they say, hey, I'm just selling houses and I don't want to do this attraction thing. And they look at it as, I'm going to have this bucket, I'm going to have this bucket, and this bucket's going to detract from me doing that bucket. And I want you to start reframing this attraction thing if you're thinking about doing attraction and say, in the course of doing real estate, there are house things going on. There's real estate agents all around the house deal. I want you to start thinking of, how do I leverage those moments and those people so I can add that additional revenue stream to my business? I want to focus on this. Focus on selling houses. In the process of selling houses, you're going to have some opportunities to attract some agents. And then you just got to line up and figure out how to make that happen too. If you guys get stuck on that equation, don't hesitate to reach out to me or anybody else in the growth department, because what we do is we help people understand how to do this and implement it in their business. So I want you to start thinking attraction through production. Production first. And by the way, I want to leverage that attraction as a byproduct of that. So it's two different income streams without taking a bunch of time away. Okay, so that's what I want you to start thinking as a shift in attraction. So if you're thinking about that for this year, there's a way to go. Don't hesitate to reach out to me in workplace chat and say, hey, I want more on that. Got a couple of videos on that too. I can drop out to you guys if you need to. Okay, so with that said, I want to make sure you guys see this next segment. Stay tuned for this. I hope that was valuable to you, but I want you to stay tuned for this, because coming up next, we have Brian Ellington having an interview with Ali Garced, talking about business, talking about market, talking about YouTube, talking about social, all things business and buyer building. And they're going to kick off that thing right now. So I'm going to kick it over to you, Brian. Take it away.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ali. Thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Ali Garced from both St. Paul, Minnesota, and also Tucson, Arizona. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
I'm excited to be here with you.
Well,
thank you so much.
Well, so Ali, kick us off a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your business.
So Ali Garced, I actually just moved across the country to where I barely know anybody, and I'm starting over, and I'm doing this like, I'm very excited to start over so I could start from ground zero again, where I know two people, just my in-laws. And I focused on getting a lot of my clients from social media. I've been licensed for less than 3 years. I've done 100 transactions. Last year, I made $200,000 GCI from outbound referrals. But now I'm focused more on listings, a little bit more, at least a little bit heavier now on listings in St. Paul, Minnesota, as opposed to majority of the clients that I was working with in Tucson were buyers. So I'm still going to be working Tucson, Arizona. I love it. It's what I know. And so yeah, I'm here to help share and hopefully help other agents in any way that I can.
Yeah. So 3 years into the business, and obviously you got bored and decided I need a new challenge. So let's just move halfway across the country where I know two people and go
To the tundra.
It makes all the sense in the world. I get it. So your chosen lead generation pathway, in addition to some of the other things that you do, really primarily is social media. And you and I were talking about this, and you shared Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Can we dig in on those three and talk about how you're approaching each of those and what you get out of that and what you do with it?
100%. Which one do you want to start with first?
Well, let's start with Instagram first, because it sounds like that's probably part of the initial journey. I think you'd said that you've been going more and more into YouTube, but Instagram and Facebook have been part of your initial strategy because of your background. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I spent a decade active duty Air Force. I separated at the 10-year mark as a major where I was working as a special agent. And so I went from being a special agent in the military to a real estate agent in the civilian world. And I love it. I took my, like interviewing skills, and now this is what I do all day, every day. So in the beginning, when I first got licensed, I had a lot of other military followers, being that they're my peers, my friends. So I know that I was at a different um advantage, I guess. I mean, I other people would see it as a disadvantage, not barely knowing the area of Tucson, and then trying to find clients. I saw it as an advantage because I knew of so many people moving. So
Mm,
that's where I really started focusing on, when I was doing a lot of outbound DMs on Facebook and Instagram. Chances are they weren't moving to Tucson. They weren't PCSing to Davis Monthan. Instead they're PCSing to Minot and, the DMV or the DC, Maryland, Virginia area or anywhere but Tucson. So I was like, you know what? Well, you know what? I have really, really good agent friends that are part of our crew and work out in Pensacola. So would you mind if I connect you? And they understand the VA loan. They understand how they can put you in a good position if you're purchasing. So that's how I got started in outbound referrals. And it was a lot of posting every single day. I posted one video reel every day in 2023.
wow.
Uh, and I used that same video and I posted it. I slapped it on all the other social media platforms. So I was on all six with the help of a virtual assistant, not me. And along with that, so I'm staying top of mind. And along with that, I was DMing people. So it's good to have, one to many, but I needed that one to one as well to actually end up converting. So
Mm.
I had both of those. And that's what I still do now.
Yeah. So you said PCS, and for all the folks who want to be part of the Cool Kid Club, it stands for Permanent Change of Station. This is when somebody in the military gets transferred from one base to another. They don't really get much forewarning. They don't really get much time. They need a referral right away, and because you are that top of mind agent for them, they're going to allow you to refer out $200,000 in 1 year. Oh my goodness, that's a pretty good referral business. So you talked about the reels that you're doing, and you said you were doing one per day. I know a lot of us sit down in front of that camera and we just go, tell us, what were your reels about?
And yeah, so I want to touch on the camera shy. I used to be camera shy. I hated my voice. I would watch a video back and be like, wow, just critique every single thing you could think of. And you just have to get over it because guess what? Your clients see you and your clients are still wanting to work with you. So like why not portray just who you are? If you have to take a shot, take a shot. Do what you need to do in order to get over the camera shyness. Of what I did and what I wish I actually did faster and in a more condensed time period was um I went live. Instagram live every Sunday for 7 Sundays in a row. Um
Wow.
and for just as long as I wanted to, it was part of like our upline with EXP. It was part of like their challenge. Hey, go on live 7 weeks in a row. You choose a date, but be consistent with a date and time, and just talk about anything. But always have some sort of topic to talk about. Otherwise, you're just sitting there on live waiting for people to ask questions. They're never going to ask questions. So prompt them with something and just start talking. And
Yeah.
so just talking got me used to being able to really just talk on the fly about any topic that I like talking about. And then over time, over those Sundays, I became more and more comfortable on talking on the fly without having to delete, re-record. Let me say this again. I said that word wrong. I sounded funny. So I really think had I condensed those Sundays and instead done a live every single day for just 7 days in a row, I would have gotten over my camera shyness way earlier. And who knows, I probably would have done more. But it is what it is. I really, really feel like people that are camera shy need to go on live because you can't go back. You can't delete, you can't filter. It is what it is. So you learn from your mistakes, and that's the best way to learn.
It,
But yeah,
don't you find too with live that it takes a little bit of pressure off of you because you have the sort of knowledge that, hey, this is live. Everybody expects stumbles over words and things of that nature.
100%. Yes. Yeah, now I actually even prefer to go live because you could just say, "Oh, oops, I didn't mean to say that," as opposed to pausing, re-recording, scrapping the whole thing, starting over. That takes more effort.
Yeah, you don't have to be as scripted, and therefore you're not as harsh on yourself as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. I've looked at videos myself and been like, what in the world? but that is how you look. Whether you like that or not has nothing to do with the camera. And to your point, that's how your clients see you anyway. So, and video is one of the forms of communication, if not face to face, it is the secondary most trusted source in terms of communication. And so being able to be on video like that is a real treat. And so you said you were doing it every day, and you were doing some interviews. What kinds of other contents? Like if I were going to go sit down and knock out 3 reels right now, what would you recommend I start with?
So they say to provide value in reels and posts, and then to sell in stories. Um,
Okay.
I didn't really do that. I kind of just sold every time I posted. Like every single video that I posted in 2023 that was a reel of talking head of like me, my face, my voice. It always had a hard call to action. So it was, if you are scared of interest rates, please like DM me interest or DM me some sort of word. Or you don't even need to go that far. You just be like, DM me, let's talk about it. And I can talk to you about your specific scenario and how homeownership still could be a way for you, or maybe not, but at least we'll talk. At least you'll have spoken to an actual professional in the business. So it was anything as far as what the consumers are scared of. If you're looking for listings, it's answering those questions. Is your equity safe? Is now a good time to sell? Do you have a place to move into? Because if you're going to be selling, chances are you're also going to be buying. Is now a good time to buy? Like, what market are you going to? So it's kind of answering those questions, how to prepare to sell, not so much the actual process. Like what is escrow? What is the inspection period? Because the people that are looking up those questions already have an agent. No one is really asking, what is the appraisal process like, before they even start looking at a house. They only really look at what's the appraisal process like once they're already hired by somebody else. So answer the beginning funnel, like the top of the funnel level questions.
That's funny. I've never heard somebody articulate that, but it makes all the sense in the world. We're traditionally we're used to meeting buyers historically before the internet when they were already like picked a neighborhood, picked a house, picked a street, and they were calling off of yard signs. And there was a question of whether or not they were represented at that point. The gift of the internet and the challenge of the internet is that it backs them up in that sales process. We're meeting them much earlier in this, but to your point, more likely that they don't have an agent. The trick there is just time, right? Can you stay with them over time as they're on that purchase journey? And you talked about DMs. So you're not just relying on them coming to you and DMing you interest. You're actively using. You and I were talking, and I said it kind of sounds like you're using social media as a secondary CRM, right?
100%. Yeah. If I didn't send out any DMs, I think maybe I would have done 10 deals last year. Like
Mm.
so there's one, and I got this from Alex Hormozy. There's one to many marketing, and then there's one to one. And it's good to have one to many, that cast a wide net, get as many people as you can that are somewhat interested in buying or selling in your area. But then you can't close them until you've done one to one, until they know that you're an actual person that values them, cares about them. So without that one to one, you're going to be making videos all day and not seeing any traction. You have to reach out. I hated cold calling. I would rather text all day. I'm a millennial. I would rather DM on Instagram. And guess what? The receiving end, they would also rather receive a DM or receive a text instead of call. And that was just my people. That happened to be my clientele. Other military buyers, other millennials, like in my time, whatever. So that it worked for me. It doesn't work for everyone. Like if you're maybe working with like an older generation, they probably are not on Instagram, but they are on YouTube and they are on Facebook.
That's right.
So yeah, the days of like just sold or just posted under contract and all like the templates, in my opinion, are over. They're overused. So by you posting that, you just become one of many realtors. And when you're one of many, you're never going to stand out. So you have to do something to stand out. And the only way that everyone can stand out is by putting their face on everything, their face, their voice, the way that they think. Because there is a client for everyone. And there is business out there.
That's right. It's interesting in traditional lead generation, we talk about marketing and prospecting, right? The one to many and the one to one. Really, when we think about social media, I think a lot of us think of it as a marketing tool. You're using it as both, and you use a CRM as well, and we'll talk about that in a second. But you also use your DMs as a prospecting outbound form of prospecting, right? So I got a question for you. Give me three great DM ideas for me proactively reaching out to people, whether it be through Instagram, YouTube, you choose.
So they would be the same, the same type of DMs, whether I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. I
Mm.
go on the first thing always when somebody follows me, I will um I will message them, send them a custom personalized message. It's not, "Hey, thanks for the follow!" exclamation point. Everyone else does that. Like that instead makes you sound more salesy and spammy and just ick.
Yeah.
So instead, I would say, "Oh my gosh, Ashley, thank you so much. Ashley!" exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Or Ashley with like 14 Y's. It gives me a higher return or response every single time. Ashley, thank you so much for the
Everybody,
follow.
it's Cheers, by the way. You remember the theme song to Cheers? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. The lead character will walk in, everybody would go, Norm. That's what people want. It's like you coming home. You want your dog there wagging their tail, greeting you like that. So I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So it's always like, Ashley, oh my gosh, thank you so much for the follow. I super appreciate it. And then I ask the question, what interests you more about my page? Was it that reel on X or is it Y? Is it my Tucson stuff or is it my funny stuff? Is it my educational stuff or is it whatever? Like you understand your brand better. So, and chances are you have more than one different type of content that you put out there. So ask them a question and then that literally they will tell you why they came to your page. So make more of that. If that's your avatar, if Ashley is the type of person that you want to work with.
That's
So
sweet.
that's number one. Always I reach out to every single person that follows me. Um,
Okay.
and then even better, if you can send them a video message. When I do
Mm.
that, it like wows people out of the water, because no one does that. They follow someone, that's kind of it. So instead, I can send a quick, 15-second video of me just right here, wherever I'm at, outside, inside, doesn't matter, at the gym, doesn't matter, and say, "Oh my gosh, Brian, thank you so much for the follow," and ask the same thing. Super appreciate it. What can I do to help you? And what part of my content did you like the best? I'm like super curious to know. And that's it. Just be yourself, say the ums, say the ahs, make the mistake and send it. Because if without that first message, if you don't have a mistake, you sound salesy.
Yeah, and also too, if you don't give yourself that grace and that space to do that, you're gonna second guess and third guess and fourth guess and never send the thing.
Yes, yes. Done is better than perfect.
That's right. That's right. Okay, great. So I like that. And again, I like your question because it's a whole lot better than, what are your interests in real estate? You're asking that same question, but you're asking in a unique way that engages them rather than makes it, to your point, sound like salesy. Okay. So tell me, anyone for the third?
I have actually been focused so much more on YouTube right now. But they really just go hand in hand because YouTube is for the elongated version, the long detailed, and then short form content or vertical content is long form, but obviously in 15 seconds or as fast as you can make it, as valuable as you can make it. Um, so I guess at the end of the day, it's like somewhat the same. So it would be touching on um, any sort of trending topic, whether it's about, it could be a life update about you. It could be a life update about them because they followed you. They're pretty much giving you permission to go on their page. If they're public, you can see that they just had a baby. You can see that they just moved. You can see that, XYZ life event. Um, or that they also have a cavalier and just whatever it is, like literally anything you can talk about, or at least you should be able to talk to anybody about anything. So just strike up a conversation and have interest in them. Doesn't even it shouldn't even be about sales in the beginning.
Yeah, I like that. I like building the relationship and just asking great questions. And that law of reciprocity will lead them back to asking you great questions, which is your opening. So you talked about YouTube, and I want to differentiate. So when you and I were talking, you said, your YouTube videos are somewhere around 12 minutes. How long typically are your reels?
I really try to never make it longer than 30 seconds.
Okay.
And yeah, the biggest difference between YouTube, um, and short form content or reels is with reels, you have to do the bottom line up front. With YouTube, you can tell the story, you can tell the, bullet point A, sub bullet point A, bullet point B, sub bullet point B, and then the call to action. And then, lastly, number one, the biggest reason, end with that. With short form content, nobody's wanting to stick around if you don't hook them in the first like 1 second. You have 1 second to hook them. If you don't do that and instead you're introducing yourself or instead you're saying, "Hi, I'm a real estate agent," nobody cares and they're going to continue looking because there are other real estate agents that they maybe like better at this point. So instead, if you just provide them value or give them the bottom line up front, my seller lost $14,000 or, the appraiser came in $14,000 below list price or whatever it is, like hook them and then tell a little bit of the story and maybe not even introduce yourself, but do give a call to action. Um, yeah, that's the difference between short form is nobody cares who you are. It's always what's in it for them.
Got it. Any particular call to action that you rely on?
I have many chat, and so I do a lot of if you want more of this topic, DM me or comment the word appraisal, comment the word moving, comment the word Tucson, and I'll send you XYZ.
Yeah.
So yeah, something like that.
Those of you not familiar, MiniChat is just a software add-on for your social media. And when they do DM you those keywords, it helps follow through on your promise, your commitment to them by sending them whatever, and it also captures them as well.
Yep.
So that's great. I like that very much. So with YouTube, so you mentioned you'd gone from Tucson, Arizona to St. Paul, Minnesota. By the way, have you been through the winter yet there in St. Paul?
No, and I will leave during the winter.
It sounds like a perfect time to visit friends in Tucson. Um, so you recently moved there. How are you using YouTube in St. Paul? I'm curious, what's the strategy? What are you posting? What kind of content?
So I post about um, providing value to sellers.
Mm,
So my channel is selling in St. Paul. By the way, for those that are interested in YouTube, highly suggest to never send out your channel and never have people that follow and like you and watch a video because it actually messes up the YouTube algorithm. YouTube wants organically for people to find you. So
okay.
never, never, never send out your link. So please do not follow me. If you think you're doing me a favor, you're actually not. So when you send out your because overall the algorithm there is YouTube wants to see how many minutes people spend on your page or just on YouTube. Do they go from one of your videos to another video of yours? Or do they go from one of your videos to just another video, but they stay on the platform? As soon as you bring them off the platform, YouTube thinks, wow, this creator must be so boring that they don't even want to stick around on YouTube at all. So let me not bump that video up. Um, so it's very, very interesting where instead of where on Instagram and short form, I'm saying text me, I'm saying call me, essentially get off the platform, or DM me. But on YouTube, it's you have to try to keep them on the platform. So the longer the video, the better, as long as you're providing good information. So information such as top 5 mistakes that you can make when selling your home, top 5 mistakes that you can do when before you even choose a real estate agent, the best way to net the most when selling your house. Those numbered lists are always better. For some reason, odd numbers are always better too. Maybe it's just psychology there. And whenever you do have a list, work backward, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 1, keeping people in for the biggest number one reason why you shouldn't sell your home in the winter in Minnesota. So stuff like that. And those are the type of videos that I'm making for my channels.
Yeah, and I think that's really great psychology. I'm curious because so we did a team mastery call the other day, and it was on hiring and onboarding staff, and the subtitle was "Are you building your team the wrong way?" And I was talking with someone, and I shared that with them, and they went, "Oh, you went negative." Oh, and there is a theory, there is a philosophy around using the mistakes versus focusing on maybe the more optimistic or positive things. Do you find with your posts that one has more success over the other?
Always negative. Always. I mean, it's human nature to be more scared of what they can, like what humans can lose, as opposed to being happy for what they can gain. So it's kind of clickbaity, but also you're helping them by saying these are the mistakes. Like, do not make these mistakes. That's what people want to see. So on my Tucson channel, my biggest videos, I think it has like 9,000 views for right now. And it's less than a year old, is uh a thumbnail of me going like a little bit scared, like hesitant, like, and the text is, was I tricked? And the title is The True Cost of Living in Tucson, Arizona, where I cover all the different aspects of just living, food, entertainment, housing, taxes, all that. And at the end of each category, I give it like a thumbs up, a middle thumb, or a thumbs down, in my opinion, right? And of course, like in related to the national average. Um, the other top performing videos are like they're all negative, like don't move to Tucson, Arizona, and or top 5 reasons why you shouldn't move to Tucson. But I do always try to give a different perspective, aside from just it's hot, because everyone else is saying it's hot. So say something else, Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good psychology. And when it comes to YouTube or any of these, really, how are they typically reaching out to you? Are they doing it in the comments on your YouTube? And how are you taking them offline into in real life to start working?
Yeah. So to try to help the YouTube algorithm, what I will do is, if you've at the end of the video, I'll always physically point like to somewhere just on the left or right side of me, and I'll say, and since you watched this video of reasons not to sell your home in the winter, you might want to watch this video as to why not to sell your home in the summer. And just click over here. So I in theory, they'll go from watching one of my videos to watching another one of my videos. But also, if they don't want to do that, the call to action that I verbally say, and that's in the description, and that's written on the like as edited, that my video editor does, is, if you know that you want to hire us to help sell your home, book a call using my Calendly link below. That'll be the best way for you to get a call for you to schedule a call on my calendar. I don't want to text. I don't want to call. I don't say this, but like I don't answer phone calls. I've done this business and I do not answer calls. Every single time that I do, it's spam. And I don't know what's spam. I don't know what's not. So if it's important, you'll leave a message or you'll text me. Um, I'm doing just fine. So I would much rather, instead of filtering and like jumping off the toilet, jumping out of the shower, saying, "Oh my gosh, I have to answer this call." I don't want to play that game. So if Barry wants to book a call to sell and hire me, then he will do it on his own time. I'm going to have my list of questions for them to answer. So Calendly is everything. Love Calendly. And I actually make it very beefy questions. So to the point where they have to think about it. They can't just book a call willy-nilly, because I don't want to work with willy-nilly people. I want to work with people that know what they're buying, know what they're selling. So it's going to be very, very in the weeds. If they're a buyer, top 3 must have, top 3 wants. Are you pre-approved? What's your price point? What area of town, zip code, everything. Um, they have a maximum of 10 questions. I max out all 10 questions. And same thing for the sellers. So I actually create a level of friction there, because I don't want people to book a call and realize, oh, it was super easy. And kind of like, I want them to value that call. So that way, when we're on the call, I have all my information that I need, and I can start doing some research, and I can prep them to go ahead and start sign the buyer broker agreement right then and there when we're on the Zoom call, or sign the listing agreement. And then we can go out to the property and finalize the final numbers.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I'm betting that, these are lay down appointments. If they've gone through that level of work, yeah, don't you find?
Yes. Yes. I after reading, I think it was from The Full Fee Agent, by Chris Voss, where they go into the fool or the favorite. I love that book. Highly recommend everyone read it like once a year. Where
Okay.
if you are getting phone calls, and I used to get this, so I'm preaching to myself right now. I used to get phone calls from people that found me on Google, that found me on Instagram or TikTok, but they kind of were, they weren't bought in yet. I was not their favorite, and they were interviewing around, which is great, but also then at that point it became me chasing them, and I just didn't want to do that. Like I had so many other people that knew that they wanted to work with me. Why am I chasing down some people and not chasing down others? Um,
Mm.
so if you're not the favorite, you are the fool, according to that book. So like just don't be the fool, be the favorite. And if you are taking those phone calls and working for the fool, you're leaving so many favorites, people that wanted you to work with them over others. You're leaving all of those on the table to work with somebody else because you're spending double the amount of time or triple the amount of time and effort and bandwidth on people that considered you a fool to begin with. And so I don't know, I just loved that book, and that's where I'm focusing a lot more, being in this new location on YouTube, because they wouldn't book a call with me if they didn't want to work with me.
I love that. Finding the ready, willing, and able, and the people who are ready to work with you as well. That's smart.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Ali Garza, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your hard-won wisdom with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This is fun.
All right, back to you guys.
All righty. And thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. Allie, that was absolutely fantastic. I love that you had good stuff and you've got things that agents can put in their business today. I always love it when we do the show and Brian pulls that kind of stuff out. It's like, what can I put in my business today? How do I think a little different and then do a little different so I can get a little different? I absolutely love that. So thank you very much for that. You guys did beautiful on that segment. So thank you. All right. So with that said, we've got one thing left before I go for today. Got a quick video talking about bundled select. I want to make sure you guys see that. So right now, roll video. Alrighty there. So Wednesday, July 10th, you guys saw it there. Jump in, get the education, get the knowledge. Knowledge is power in that one. And by the way, if you don't know a lot about Bundled Select, jump in. It's a great program to get you moving in the right direction with your business and help you get more homes closed. So with that, that's the end of our show for today. We've got the QR code for NPS survey. Last thing we do every single week. Guys, if you like the show today, you like that beginning segment, you like what Brian did, make sure you give us an NPS score on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being we knocked it out of the park today. We did a good job. Thank you guys for your ratings over the past couple of weeks. Really appreciate the fine ratings and, of course, the fine comments that go along with it. So thank you very much for that. It's one of my favorite things to see on a Monday morning is all the kind words that you guys put in for what we did on Friday. We love what we do here. I love what I do here. I couldn't be any more proud to do it and couldn't be any more proud to be with this company. Couldn't be more proud to be an American. America's a little bit messed up right now in a couple ways, but we got a bunch of really great stuff. So it's 5th of July. So take some time and celebrate and find the things about America that you love. There's way more about the country that is amazing than is crappy at the moment. We got some stuff coming down the pike, but we got this because we got this together. When you and I compare notes on who we are, we're more alike than we are different. Let's celebrate that likeness and eliminate that difference. See you guys next week on Big Agent Meeting.